Mom and Dad are fighting again. Time to watch wrestling, my only friend. Anyway, what's up, guys? Dave here, back with another video. I know this video is a week late. I've been busy, and also I kind of wanted to let some of the storylines sit a little bit. We had Raw and SmackDown. Obviously, so because this is a weekend, I'm doing a WrestleMania 40 review or breakdown or impressions or whatever, and I wanted to talk about it. I know it's been a week, but I wanted to let the dust settle a little bit. So I'm gonna try to not make this video too long. So let's just jump into it. Night one, I'm gonna try to go in order. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna go with how they have it on here on this website I'm on. So The Rock and Roman Reigns versus Cody and Seth. This was definitely this was a match. This was an event. Like throughout this entire night one card, it felt like night one is Infinity War, like for Marvel, and night two was Endgame. And this was Infinity War. You know, at the end of Infinity War, everyone's like half the people are dead, and it's like, oh man, this sucks, everything's terrible. That's what it looked like. And I knew The Rock and Roman were going to win because all the odds had to be stacked up against Cody. That's just kind of how it would work. The match itself was really good. A lot of finishers, a lot of crazy stuff. The Rock finishing with the people's elbow is, that's a very iconic move. And doing it on Cody to set up The Rock and Cody's beef going forward is fun. I really don't know how I feel about The Rock being around still. I don't like because it very much seems like he kind of weaseled his way into this whole thing in general. But, he can still wrestle, and, his entrance was crazy, intense. I was scared watching it. His night one entrance was really, it was very foreboding. But again, the match itself was great. Seth really, Seth is the MVP of WrestleMania for sure. And we'll get to that a little bit later. But, and it was, I think this match was the longest, or maybe the second longest match in wrestling. They wrestled for 45 minutes, which is crazy long. So very cool to see that. Next, the Women's World Championship, Rhea versus Becky. I'm a big Becky Lynch fan. I wanted her to win, but I get that Rhea retained the belt because right now she's just too hot to, she's hot, but she's too on top to let it go, and then the whole thing with the Judgment Day too, how they're starting to kind of build up a little bit. I do kind of reiterate my thoughts that I had back during Backlash, where I am a little worried that they're gonna turn into a new Bloodline type thing where they have all the belts, which I don't like. But it's not, it's so far it hasn't really been that, and we'll kind of see what happens. But her coming out with Motionless in White was cool because I'm a fan of Motionless in White. And she's just a menace in the ring, hitting multiple riptides. There's just, what can't she do, And then to shout out my girl Becky, shout out to her for doing that with a fever and this strep or something and a over 100-degree fever. Can't be easy to feel like that and get thrown around. And she was promoting her book heavily, which I want to read. Her attire had little quotes from her book, which was kind of cool. But yeah, I'm a big fan of her. I think she wrestled her ass off, and both of them did a great job, and it was a really great way to kick off the show. Next on the list here, we have the Intercontinental Championship, Gunther and Sami Zayn. I'm so happy that Sami won and also that Gunther lost. I really don't like Gunther. I think he's boring. I think his whole thing is just, I'm a big guy, and that's it. He can definitely wrestle. I'm not going to take away his wrestling ability. And and I think the WWE wants to push him into a more main title focus. So they're taking him kind of off the mid-card title table. And yeah, I'm glad that they picked Sammy to take it, because with everything he's been through, like his whole story, like the beginning of like last year, challenging Roman for the belt, like, and all that deal, like he deserves to have a belt. Like, just what he's put his body through, and like what he's been through, like the storyline wise at least. It's good to see him with some hardware around his waist. And it's setting up, and it kind of already is setting up in Montreal. I'm recording this Sunday. I think it'll go up tomorrow, which is Monday, so later tonight, technically. Chad Gable and Sami Zayn in Montreal. I think Chad might do a heel turn. And I don't know if Sami's going to retain or not. I hope he does, but as much as I want him to have the belt, it would kind of make for a better storyline if Chad, that was his, like, because he said, as Sami was going out during WrestleMania, he said, "You owe me," and like that's what he's owed. He's owed a shot at the belt, and I think the way that he's going to do it is by a heel turn, because they're not going to have a face take it off of a face, or usually they don't. It would be honestly nice to see. It would be kind of refreshing to just have like okay, this is, a up and up, on the table match. You beat me fair and square. Like, as a fan of peace and love, that would be fun for me to see. But it really wouldn't make for much of a story. So I think that might happen, but I don't know. I don't know if Sami's going to retain or not, but that'll be interesting. Again, I'm happy he got it. Sami Zayn is one of the best sellers in the WWE. He like legitimately looks like he's about to die every time he's in the ring, and I love that about him. Yeah, it was a great match. Definitely, I don't know what they're going to do with Gunther. Maybe if there's some good writing, it can kind of turn me around onto it. But I'm just not a Gunther guy. I'm not a Gunther goon. My buddy was saying, "Oh, I'm gooning for Gunther." But yeah, I don't know. Anyway, Jimmy and Jey Uso. This is when I tell you that I legitimately had the most fun watching WrestleMania. Like, the most fun I've had watching television has been watching WrestleMania 40, like in recent memory. So keep that in mind when I tell you that this match was terrible. But it didn't bring down the event for me, because that's how good everything else was. But Jimmy and Jey, their beef, I get it. They're brothers, one former bloodline, current bloodline. I just don't care. Like, what's the outcome here? What's the end goal, really? Like, Jey wins, okay, good, the good guy won. Jimmy wins, okay, he's a bitch. It furthers this storyline of like brother versus brother. Like, again, I get it to a degree. Like, on paper it makes sense, but when you got two guys who already have so much of their storyline kind of worked through already, there's not really much to go with. And when they also do the same 5 moves, super kicks, punches, things like that, for them to be wrestling each other, so not only you're getting double the super kicks, but also for a long period of time, it was just trading blows, and and to a degree I like that, but not for an entire match. It was so boring. And again, there's nothing on the line, at least for me. Now, if someone has a different take on it and wants to kind of like share their opinion, feel free to leave it in the comments, by all means. I'm not gonna be against that. But it just, for me, I just don't care. Not about it. Just really don't care. Now we got the 6-pack ladder match for the tag team championships. The Judgment Day, Damian Priest, Finn Balor versus Awesome Truth, The Miz and R-Truth. DIY, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. The New Day, Kofi and Xavier Woods. New Catch Republic, Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate. A-Town Down Under, Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. That's a lot of names. This match was fun. I definitely like them showing off some people like Johnny and Tommaso. They're two guys who I really like, and who kind of are relegated to like this mid-card, we kind of have to fill a slot type role, and I don't think that's fair to them because they're both great. Kofi and Xavier Woods, to at least give Kofi a shot at another belt, I think is great. I really want, like, Kofi Mania was pretty big, and I kind of want him to get another shot at something in the future. Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate really impressed me. I've known Pete Dunne is a great wrestler, and him being relegated to that butch role for so long was dumb. I know Sheamus is making a return. It might be tomorrow or tonight on Raw. I don't know. It's definitely soon. I can't remember though if it was Raw or SmackDown he was making his return to, but I don't know if they're gonna bring back the Brawling Brutes. I doubt it. And I hope they don't, because Pete Dunne's a great wrestler, and it's nice to see him, actually be able to show his talents in something other than just being Butch, the weird, crazy-looking guy who, like, twists your fingers. And Tyler Bate was crazy. He was pretty impressive as well, jumping off of the tops of ladders and stuff, and it was just, it was kind of an all-around match. For me, when, like, a match of that caliber, not only six... Like, even if it was 6 individual competitors, that's kind of a lot for me, but, like, 6 teams of 2, so 12, there's a lot going on, so it makes it a little hard to keep up, but it was still fun. Grayson Waller and Austin Theory won the SmackDown belts, which I get. They're being pushed so hard right now. I'm not really a fan of either of those guys, but you definitely saw that one coming. And then The Miz and R-Truth, I did not see that coming. I thought it was going to be Finn and Damian Priest winning the Raw belts. Now, obviously, we know that Damian Priest cashed in and everything, and it kind of would have been doubling up a little bit to have him also win the tag belts. So I get that in hindsight, but I was kind of surprised to see The Miz and R-Truth, but I'm very happy. R-Truth is so funny, and it's so refreshing to have a guy that's, like, genuinely funny. Like, you have guys like Kevin Owens who are funny and who can be funny, but to have, like, an actual, like, comedic character, for me, is cool. Him, like, waiting for a tag when you didn't need one, and, like, him, like, trying to, and then the other day on Raw, last week on Raw, like, I won this for the Judgment Day, and you're like, you're not in the Judgment Day. Like, it's legitimately kind of goofy and silly and fun. I don't know how long they're going to hold those belts. My guess is probably not that long, but it's nice to just see a little bit of a change, because that's, like, genuinely, unless I miss something, I don't watch a lot of Raw, so unless there was a storyline building up on Raw that I just missed, I genuinely didn't see that one coming, so that's cool to be surprised like that. Also, very happy that they split up the belts again. That's something that I want them to do for the championship belts. I want Raw to have its own belts, and I want SmackDown to have its own belts. For 2 reasons. One, that's just double the belts, which means you can have more people. That opens way more storylines. That opens up way more wrestlers. Like, on Raw, you had a few debuts too. Like, these guys are coming up, and they're obviously going to want to push these new characters and these new wrestlers, but, like, you've already got a huge roster of all these already established wrestlers. Where's the room, So if you have belts on Raw, belts on SmackDown, you're going to have, a lot more room for storylines and for matches and stuff like that. But also, you can probably hear the train. I live right near the train. My new apartment is right near the train tracks. Sorry about that. But I don't know if you guys can hear it, but I can, and it's very loud. But anyway, what was I saying? But the other reason I want them split up is, like, for someone like me who most of the time sticks to SmackDown, it's nice to, like, not feel like I'm missing stuff. Like, right now, like, I get you have your popular wrestlers like Cody and Roman to a degree, and, some other guys who bounce around both programs. Like, I get that, but if you don't watch both, you feel like you're missing so much. So if you have, belt storylines on Raw and belt storylines on SmackDown, I feel like it's going to be, open it up a little bit better to an average consumer. so like they don't feel like they have to watch, what would it be, 5 hours of wrestling every week. They can stick with the 2 hour, the 3 hour, and have that be that. I don't know. That's just my thought. Next, we had Bianca Belair, Naomi, and Jade Cargill versus Damage Control. Um, I like. I love matches where I'm a fan of every single person in the match. And this was one of them. So, like, if I had to pick, I'm a big fan of Asuka and Kairi Sane. I just love I love the like, because the Japanese wrestling style is very cool to me, very acrobatic, very much kind of in your face. Like, I'm a big fan of the aerials and everything like that. So I kind of wanted them to win, but like Bianca Belair, Naomi, Jade Cargill are amazing, and it's just they're the way that they were able to come together as a unit and wrestle as in tandem and as one was really cool. Seeing Jade get a win in her WrestleMania debut was awesome. She is a unit. She is a specimen. I am a huge fan of Jade Cargill, and she's like she's gonna be one to watch for sure. And that's not really a hot take. Everyone and their mom knows that she's awesome. But it's gonna be, she's gonna be popping off soon. I think that we're kind of gearing up for maybe a Bianca versus Jade situation in the future. This match didn't really show that. Like, there wasn't any like beef between them, but like, it's just, you feel that coming, which could be really cool. But yeah, it was a great match, just very much all over the place. Great to see Naomi back. It was fun to see her on SmackDown against Tiffany Stratton, to win a chance to challenge Bayley. So that was cool. And then the last night one match we're covering is Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee, which turned out to be Andrade because Santos and his goon squad beat up Dragon Lee. I don't know if he actually got hurt or if that was just like the storyline that they went with. But yeah, so I love Rey Mysterio. He's my favorite wrestler. I've said that many times. I kind of get like the whole, like, does he really need to still be winning at WrestleMania argument? Because I've heard that from a few people. But honestly, I love seeing just assholes get the shit kicked out of them. Dominic Mysterio is a little bitch. Santos Escobar is a little bitch. He's like Anakin Skywalker. He's like, you were supposed to be the chosen one. You were supposed to be the LWO new guy who takes the torch from Rey. And he was all like, and he fought Dominic that one time. I forget when. But, like, it was supposed to be a big deal. So to have Rey and Andrade just kick the shit out of them was great. The double crossbody was such a cool thing to see, like them stacked up on top of each other. And then, of course, at the very end, you had Jason Kelsey and Lane Johnson come in and and help out, which was just fun. Like, a lot of these matches have a storyline built into them, and obviously Rey and Andrade, or I guess Dragon Lee, like, that does have a storyline because it's LWO versus Santos's League de Fantasma or something like that. And of course, Rey and Dominic have beef because they're father and son, and it's whatever. So there is a storyline baked in there, but it is nice to see a wrestling match that's just straight up just goofy fun. And it was a lot of high flying, like, again, very much similar to like the Japanese wrestling style. That's another reason why I love the luchador wrestling style, because I love the jumps, the moonsaults, the off the top rope, the splashes. Like, I love that stuff so much. So this was a very fun match. It gave me the outcome that I wanted because I love Rey Mysterio. Again, he's my favorite. I always love to see him win. And, he mentioned on, what was it, Raw or SmackDown? I think it was last week's SmackDown that he's still got some fight left in him. And he challenged, it was Kevin and AJ for a shot at the belt, and unfortunately he lost. And I get why, because, like, AJ is now going to face LA Knight, and they have a beef and a rivalry going, which is pretty interesting, and we'll get to that in a second because they did wrestle at WrestleMania. But I just like seeing Rey Mysterio. Like, it was a good match for me. Moving on to night 2, we're already 20 minutes in, so yeah, let's just keep going, keep plugging along, I guess. Quick water break. I guess to piggyback off LA Knight and AJ Styles, let's talk about their match. It was very I like their beef. It is very much a classic wrestling beef where they're showing up to each other's houses, they're fighting at like media events and stuff. It felt good. It felt classic to me. I like both their wrestling styles. LA Knight, he won, I think. I actually can't remember for sure. I'm like 99% sure he did. But for some reason I can't like fully commit that to memory. But it was a good match. I liked it. I like their beef going forward. I do wonder what else they're gonna do, because it doesn't, like, the one thing about it that it seems like a very superficial beef where it's just like, I don't like you sort of thing. It's not like something like the Bloodline where there's like familial ties. It's not like Ray and Dom where there's also familial ties. Or it's not like much deeper than that. It's very surface level, just like, I don't like you. So I don't know where that's going to go, but as of right now, I'm enjoying the ride for sure. Next, let's talk about Bobby and the Street Profits versus the Final Testament. This match was good, but Karrion Kross is so lame. I really don't like him. His whole shtick, at least when I first started watching him, or at least watching wrestling like regularly, his whole thing was just, let me just pick on aging wrestlers. Like, he had a beef with Ray, and then he had a beef with AJ, and now he's got a beef with Bobby. And not that Bobby Lashley is aging by any means, but that's his whole thing, is like, let me just pick on older guys, and also get my ass kicked every time. Like, he doesn't win these beefs. He doesn't come out of it looking good, which I kind of, in a way, gotta feel bad for the guy, because he just looks like a punk at this point. The end, though, where they, the finishing move where I forget what they called it, but they basically like just smashed his balls. Like, that was kind of funny. A lot of tables out there, it was a good match, a lot of physicality, but I just don't care about Karrion Kross and the authors of pain, I guess. It's sure. Yeah. I mean, it was a good match. It was fun. It was physical, but the storyline behind it just kind of doesn't really do much for me. I do love to see the Street Profits pushed a little bit more, because they are both really good. I would have loved to see them be able to contend for the belts again, and maybe we'll see that in the future. But, yeah. Next, let's talk about the United States Championship Triple Threat. Logan versus Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. Logan Paul versus Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens. I would have loved to see Kevin Owens walk out with his belt, because I'm just a big Kevin Owens fan. I'm not surprised that Logan retained. It just sucks. And I say this every time I talk about Logan Paul. I wish he wasn't such an asshole in real life, because as a wrestler, he's pretty solid. He's good in the ring. He plays a heel well, but it's not like, when you see any other heel, you're like, okay, they're playing a character. When Logan is an asshole, it's like, oh no, you're just an asshole, but now it's in wrestling. Now it's on camera in wrestling. Well, I guess he's an asshole on camera for his YouTube and podcast and shit, but you get the point. I really wish, there was some fun stuff in that match, Speed was in the Prime bottle, which is whatever. I gotta know, though, how much of the casual wrestling fan knows I Show Speed. They kind of were like, oh my god, it's I Show Speed. Like, he's supposed to be this super famous guy. I mean, I guess he is in the streaming space, but like, some guy who's like 40 having a beer with his buddies watching wrestling is gonna, he's not gonna know who that is. Um, but Randy hitting the RKO on him was cool. Or was it the RKO? Might have been a different move, but like that was good. Let me think. I will say though, to Logan's credit, unless I'm missing something, because again, it has been a week, unfortunately. So my memory isn't as good as if I had just watched it. But to his credit, I don't think he won by cheating, which is how he's been winning most of his fights. I think he just won because he threw Randy out of the ring, and then Kevin was down because of something. I think something Randy did, and then he just got off the top rope and pinned Kevin. But I do like Kevin and Logan's beef, because Kevin Owens is such a shit talker. It's so good. And Logan Paul deserves to have his teeth kicked in. So if anybody's going to do that, Kevin does. And of course, Randy just being back is great. I want to see him back kind of in more title picture contention again. So it was a good match. The outcome, again, not something that I loved, but I get, because again, he's another wrestler, much like he's definitely not on the level of Rhea Ripley in ability or anything like that, but he's another wrestler he's kind of hot right now. It makes sense for him to keep the belt, unfortunately. Next, we have the WWE Women's Championship, Io Sky versus Bayley. I'm a big Io Sky fan. Honestly, I'm a big Bayley fan as well. Bayley has worked her ass off. She has scraped and clawed and gotten the belt, and she deserves it, dude. I'm a big Io fan. Again, I love her style of wrestling. I love the moonsaults. I love one thing that is still, I think, my favorite wrestling memory is, I believe it was at Survivor Series when she was at the top of the cage and put the trash can on her and jumped off. That was sick, dude. That was so sick. That is one of my favorite like wrestling memories where I was like, oh my god, that's like so crazy. But Bayley deserves it, man. And we all knew Bayley was going to win, and rightfully so. Like, I liked Io's reign. It was, not the best reign, but, like, I like her. I like Damage Control. And the way that she got the belt, cashing in and everything was fun to see. But it's Bayley's time, and I think most people can agree on that. But yeah, the match itself was good. There's a lot of history there, a lot of back and forth, a lot of ups and downs, quite literally jumping off of stuff. Yeah, it was good. I liked it. Next, this is a fun one. The World Heavyweight Championship, Seth versus Drew. The match between Seth and Drew was fun. Very physical match. Both of those guys, like, definitely know what they're doing. They're both veterans. I love Drew. His character is kind of now, like, I'm just going to kind of be a bit of a troll. Like, he literally tweeted during the match, which was cool. But hitting, it's always cool to see him hit the Claymore, Seth and the pedigree, it's good stuff. But then at the end, so Drew won. He was the heavyweight championship for like 2 seconds, because then he got into a tiff with CM Punk, which I think is going to set up a beef between them, which could be really fun. And then because Seth had the world heavyweight belt, maybe it could be like a 3-person beef, because we all know that Seth and CM Punk don't have the best history together either. So that is going to be fun once CM Punk gets healthy again. And obviously he took the brace off and beat Drew with it. So he might be okay going forward. But yeah, so basically what had happened is Drew was, doing a little trash talking. He was getting in his face, and CM Punk, laid him out a little bit, and then that gave Damian Priest the opportunity to cash in and win the belt. So now Damian Priest is the World Heavyweight champion. I don't like that because I'm not the biggest fan of him. I think he's just another big guy in the same vein as Gunther. There's a little bit more to him, and hearing him speak in the presser afterwards, as a guy, like as a dude, he seems like a very good guy. So I can't hate on him too much. I obviously know that these are just characters, but he's very well spoken. And he mentioned, as a Puerto, so a reporter asked him like, what does this mean to you as like a Puerto Rican, being able to like have this representation, being able to be, to hold this belt and be able to, kind of win something for and represent your country, represent your people. And he was very what's the word I'm looking for? Like he speaks well, and he genuinely is a guy that likes what he's doing, and so I really can't hate on him. I can't hate on that, but his character just doesn't really do it for me. But it is what it is. I like that somebody else has it. I mean, I like that Seth had it, but I think it made sense for the story. Because, like, going with the Marvel analogy, Seth is Tony Stark. Gave it all up for the greater good. And that's what he did. So that was cool to see. I think maybe there's a potential Finn Balor versus Damian Priest, because they had some beef in the past, like a little bit of like inner turmoil in the Judgment Day, that they kind of definitely put to the side, but they could reignite that beef, and I would love to see Finn Balor get another shot at a belt, because he is a great wrestler. I just don't like the Judgment Day. So I don't know what's gonna happen there. My computer just turned off. Sorry about that. I don't know what's going to happen there, but I think it'll be pretty interesting regardless. And then I do want Drew to get another shot. He deserves another shot at a belt. It doesn't have to be that belt, but a belt. And obviously the eventual Drew versus CM Punk beef is going to be really fun to watch. And Seth might get involved in there, because obviously Seth and Drew have beef, but, the enemy of my enemy is my friend sort of deal, because Seth and CM Punk have their thing, so he might jump into the mix. I don't know, but it's setting up for some good stuff. And then finally, we have the big one. We have the undisputed WWE Universal Championship, Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. When I tell you, not much gets me on an emotional level. When I saw Cody hit 3 crossroads and pin with a finish the story, I almost died. Like that, like there's just something so euphoric about being so genuinely happy for someone else. It's a great feeling. And the amount that Cody has gone through, both in ring and out of ring, he deserves that belt, man. And it is so cool to see. And his reign as champion, I think, is going to be a lot of fun. We've already got a Rock beef forming. We're going to have a beef with whoever challenges him for the belt, I believe at Backlash. It's going to be crazy. The match itself was fun. Jimmy trying to come out and get in the mix and getting completely just obliterated by Jay, just tackling him right off the stage. I think Solo came in. Who backed him up? I can't remember. But then The Rock came out, and then we had Taker return for a little brief cameo, which was really cool. And then of course Seth. God bless Seth, man. Coming out as the Shield, Roman getting that shot with the chair and being like, he just couldn't resist. He couldn't resist getting that shot in on Seth, but Seth took it. Seth was literally the Shield, because that protected Cody and gave him the opportunity to hit those 3 crossroads and finish the story. I'm very interested to see where they're going to go. Like, I don't like the Bloodline storyline, but I'm way more interested in it now because it has no belt implications anymore. Because when it did have belt implications, you knew who was going to win. You knew Roman was going to retain, because that whole storyline was just too big. But now that they finally cut the cord from that and kind of said, okay, we're going to move you over here, we're going to have Cody do his thing, and then the Bloodline can do all that. I can see now why people like it to a degree. Again, I find it kind of boring. But what they're doing now, especially on last Friday SmackDown, Solo going rogue, turning on Jimmy, which Jimmy deserves that shit. Jimmy's a little punk bitch. But like introducing Tommy Tonga from New Japan. I don't know much about him, unfortunately. I'm sorry about that. But like a second Bloodline Civil War. Again, we already had one with Roman and Solo versus the Usos. But a second Bloodline Civil War forming could be interesting because what is Roman going to do now? Obviously, in real life, he's, still dealing with the leukemia. So, I don't know how much they're going to want to use him. But, like, he may kind of retreat off into the shadows and, like, come back and see, like, no, I'm still the tribal chief. And then The Rock may be behind Solo's actions because he's saying, he had orders from the tribal chief to, like, take out Jimmy. But would Roman have said that? I don't know. Did he say that? Who knows? But a theory that I've been seeing, and something that I think would be kind of interesting, is The Rock may have been behind that. So there could be like a heel bloodline with like Solo and Tommy and The Rock versus a face bloodline with like Roman and I don't know if Jimmy would really be a face, but or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe it'd be Roman and Jimmy. I don't know. Or maybe Roman and Solo. Maybe Solo was acting on Roman's behalf. I don't know, but the WWE obviously wants a Roman versus Rock thing, and I think now is the time to get that started and kind of put that in motion a little bit. So I don't know, but the match was great. It was really engaging. Like when it ended, I was like, "Oh shit, it's already over." But yeah, it was a good match, and Cody winning, like it's so gratifying to be that legitimately happy for another person. If it's a good feeling. And I'm just so happy for Cody Rhodes, man. I'm so happy that the story is finished and Roman's reign is over because it was so boring to see the same guy win all the time. I don't know how long Cody's reign is going to be. I don't think it's going to be nearly as long as Roman's. But it opens up. There's a lot of storylines now opening up. And I think the Triple H era is finally here. And I think we're really going to see some good stuff. And I'm excited. I'm genuinely excited to see what happens going forward. So, yeah, that's kind of my review of WrestleMania 40. Legitimately, like I said earlier, I think the most fun I've had watching television in a long time. Yeah, watching it with friends, freaking out over like a big jump or hit or anything, and just like, oh my god, what? No way! What? Yeah, like, and then returns, like when Taker came back, like, me and my one buddy who are wrestling fans were like, oh my god, no way. And then our one buddy who this was his first wrestling event, he was like, what's going on? What does that mean? And we were like, hold on, like, just give us a second. Like, it's a big thing, and I think wrestling can really bring people together. And now my one friend who didn't know anything about wrestling at the start of the night, by the end of the night, he was like, yo, this is awesome. So that's, I think, why people really get invested in wrestling and really love wrestling, because it just brings that out of you. Just something about it really hits home. It hits that, like, feeling in your gut of just wanting people to succeed, and just that, like, human nature to, watch, simulated violence, of course, as we all love. But also the human aspect of it is, like, I like watching people succeed, and I like watching people do well, and, the overcoming the odds stuff is something I think as humans we can all, like, relate to in our day-to-day lives, and also just really appreciate seeing. So yeah, this was a legitimately great WrestleMania, way better than WrestleMania 39, which was my personal first WrestleMania that I sat down and watched live. So it was cool to see. I'm very excited to see what they do going forward. Again, a lot of good stuff between WrestleMania as a whole and then last week's Raw and SmackDown. We'll see what happens, and we'll see going forward how this continues. I'm I'm almost at 40 minutes now. If you stuck through the entire video, thank you. I appreciate it. I know I kind of ramble and go off topic, and I don't have any graphics or anything cool like that, but I hope you enjoyed, and if you have any comments, leave them down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.